The film begins in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where the town is preparing for Thanksgiving. Sheriff Eric arrives at his friend Mitch's house to celebrate. He brings a piece of cake and is complimented by Mitch's wife, Amanda, for his craftsmanship. Meanwhile, at a more upscale home, Jess, like many other townspeople, is attending Thanksgiving with her family and her boyfriend, Bobby, the town's most talented baseball player. Her father, Thomas, owner of Riot Mart, the town's largest supermarket, announces that this year will be the first year the supermarket will be open on Thanksgiving. It also coincides with the Black Friday sale, which Thomas started on Thursday because he wanted to sell more. It's clear that Jess and her stepmother, Kathleen, don't get along very well. Back to Mitch. He is the manager of Riot Mart. He comes out to announce to everyone that he has to go to the supermarket to replace Bob, who took a day off without permission. At the supermarket, thousands of people are crowded outside the door, waiting for the time to rush in to shop. The jostling for position begins to happen. At the same time, Jess's family party has also ended, and she and Bobby are waiting for her best friends to arrive to go to the movies. The boys talk about Hanover, their rival school in sports, and start making fun of them. The movie plan does not go well because the roads are jammed because many people are out for the holidays. The group is at Riot Mart and even decides to go in to buy a new phone. Yulia also agrees because she remembers that even owes her a lipstick. Bobby initially doesn't want to go in, but Jess successfully convinces him. He then meets some fanboys and stops to take pictures. A guy named Ryan suddenly appeared, a classmate of Jess, to talk to her. Ryan obviously had feelings for Jess. Bobby also saw that, so he hurriedly went over. The security guard then announced that the store would open in 10 minutes, making the crowd even more excited. Sheriff Eric and Amanda came to give Mitch food, because he had left in a hurry without eating anything. As for Jess's group, because their father was the owner of the supermarket, they were let in through the back door. Unexpectedly, a guy named Lonnie, a student at Hanover High School, who had just gotten into a fight with Evan, discovered that they had entered the supermarket first, so he started to incite the crowd. Mitch realized that the situation was getting out of control, so he asked the security guard named Doug to immediately lock the supermarket door. The sheriff also joined in, but the fence was still broken. Everyone pressed against the glass panels, causing them to shatter. The crowd rushed in out of control, trampling, and the first victim was Doug. One resident was injured by a piece of broken glass cutting his neck. The remaining guard, Manny, was so scared that he quickly left his job and ran away. Everyone grabbed each item, not afraid to collide and interact with each other. Jess's group was so scared that they found a corner to hide. Only even climbed up high to record a video, because he thought this was an opportunity to become famous. Bobby wanted to run to help Doug, but unfortunately someone stepped on him and broke his arm. Amanda, while trying to leave this chaotic place, was hit in the head by a shopping cart. Her hair was also caught in the wheel, causing part of her scalp to be pulled away. Mitch struggled to find his wife. When he saw it, it was too late. The situation was only controlled when Sheriff Eric used his gun to warn people. Time moved to a year later, also at the time when Thanksgiving was about to be held. Evan's video exploded all over the internet, which was what he wanted. A reporter reported that despite the heartbreaking incident last year, Riot Mart continued to operate on Black Friday. Many people protested, including Mitch, who lost his wife that fateful night. It was even more frustrating that no one was held accountable. The deaths are ruled accidental and Thomas is cleared. He is trying to clean up his image by doing more charity work. Bobby, after the accident, had to end his baseball career early, cut off all contact and disappeared completely. Most notably, all the cameras in the supermarket were broken at a crucial moment. At a local diner, Sheriff Eric and his colleagues were there when they received a John Carver mask from employee Lizzie. The deputy sheriff brought it in and also revealed that John Carver was the first mayor of Plymouth and that he was very famous there. In the next scene, Jess's group is hanging out at a fair. The girls are discussing a mysterious Instagram user who kept tagging them about the Riot Mart stampede a year ago, which even recorded. Despite multiple reports, someone else uploaded it and tagged them. Jess then met the sheriff and stepmother Kathleen to go to John Carver's house, where the Riot Mart commercial was to be filmed. However, upon arriving, Thomas was extremely angry because the house had been vandalized. More notably, the prop axe had been taken. Since the place was considered a historical site, the sheriff said the incident was very serious and needed to be investigated immediately. However, this made Jess feel comfortable because she did not want her father to pretend that nothing had happened. As for Ryan, he took advantage of the opportunity when Bobby disappeared to approach Jess, and today she invited him to meet the group. The 5 people were present at the restaurant and Jess was surprised to see a person who looked very much like Bobby. just as they get a notification on their phones. They are tagged in an Instagram post by someone named the John Carver, with a picture of a Thanksgiving dinner table. Ryan is now here, and he scores points with everyone by getting tickets to a football game. While everyone is chatting happily, Jess notices a masked figure outside staring at her. After a while, the figure disappears. The film cuts to a mysterious location where someone is reviewing the video at Riot, and employee Lizzie is noticed. It's the end of her shift and she's about to head home. But as she gets to the door, she's attacked by a man wearing a John Carver mask. Lizzie is dunked underwater before the man pushes her face against the freezer door, pinning her face to the door. When he goes to get an axe, Lizzie grits her teeth in pain, pulls her face away, and runs to another room to escape. Because her hands were covered in blood, she couldn't use the phone. After a while, it suddenly became completely quiet outside, so Lizzie slowly went out to check. Then she escaped through the back door. While trying to find the car keys, the mysterious person was already there waiting. He started the car and rushed towards her. Lizzie jumped into the trash can, but the lid fell off and cut her in half. Lizzie was the one who had fought so fiercely to buy things at Riot a year ago, and she had stabbed Amanda in the head with a shopping cart without knowing it. The next morning, Plymouth residents were shocked to see half of Lizzie's body placed right in front of Riot. And when investigating, Chief Eric speculated that the killer was definitely related to last year's riot, and he wanted revenge. Detective Chu was sent to assist Eric, and when they reviewed the clip from the security camera at the restaurant, they were shocked to see the killer wearing a John Carver mask. At school, Evan checks his phone and sees that the mysterious account tagged him in a photo of Lizzie's body. This makes Jess pay more attention, looking at the photo of the banquet table again, realizing that the person had written down their names and arranged each seat individually. She calls her father to report the incident, but he refuses to close the supermarket on Black Friday, only promising to hire more security and telling her to go to the sheriff immediately. While walking, Jess notices the mysterious truck and is almost hit by McCarty. McCarty is known for illegally selling guns and regularly hosting parties for the young people in town. McCarty wants to invite Jess's group to a Thanksgiving party. They go to the police station to help confirm the identity from Evan's video. Eric also advises Jess to tell him if she has any clues about the incident, but she shakes her head. When she gets outside, Jess runs into Bobby, who has returned to town to help his uncle. The two have a chance to talk to each other after a year of silence. Bobby admits that when he broke his arm, he blamed it on Jess for dragging him into the supermarket. But now Bobby knows that thought is bad, and he has overcome the mental shock. Jess, after thinking for a while, decided to reveal a secret to Bobby. The person who deleted all the data from the security camera when the chaos happened was Kathleen, because she was afraid of facing lawsuits. More specifically, there are still backups in Thomas's computer and Jess is planning to get it back. Ryan came and immediately marked the sovereignty, signaling a secret war between the two boys. The next person to be attacked was Manny, the security guard who fled the scene when the chaos happened. He knew he was in danger when he saw the news about Lizzie. Manny hurriedly packed his bike to fly to the Dominican Republic for refuge. But the killer was one step ahead. Just a moment of negligence. The passport on the table disappeared. Then John Carver's mask mysteriously appeared. Manny took out his baseball bat for protection, not knowing that the killer had been hiding under the table all this time. He stabbed Manny once, then used a fishing line to cut off his head. Before leaving, the killer did not forget to feed Manny's cat for dinner. His head was placed on the banquet table, with Lizzie in attendance. The scene was captured by the killer and posted online, tagging people in Jess's group. Jess also knew that she would be one of the next victims, so she sneaked into her father's office, backed up all the videos from a year ago to hand them over to the police. Jess and Bobby, after having the video, were able to verify more identities for the police. This boy Lionel was also the one who bumped into Amanda when fighting with Lizzie. The next person was Lonnie, who studied at Hanover High School, started the chaos. More specifically, there was a photo taken of the moment when Ryan came to greet Doug, the security guard who was trampled to death. This temporarily puts Ryan under suspicion. Lonnie is now a gymnastics coach at school. His girlfriend Amy comes over and invites him to have some fun, and Amy starts bouncing on the trampoline, slowly taking off her clothes. Behind, Lonnie is firmly twisted by the killer. He then moves to the trampoline, stabbing the knife from below, leaving Amy no way to escape. She ends up being stabbed multiple times until she dies. The police have always been a few steps behind the killer, and they will be the same again. Eric informs Jess's group about Lonnie and his girlfriend Amy, advising them to stay together and be safe. Evan and Gabby then go into the classroom to get their backpacks. While Jess waits outside, the couple is attacked by the mysterious man. Jess waited for a long time without seeing them come out, so she texted and the killer disguised himself to answer, luring her inside. Luckily for Jess, she promptly discovered the danger right behind her and dodged. Jess ran into a hiding room, hiding with other mannequin heads. She tried to reach for the scissors to protect herself, but unfortunately dropped the hairspray. Making a noise, Jess used it to spray straight into the killer's eyes. She ran outside, shouting for help. The school was locked down after the incident, but they couldn't find killer or even in Gabby. Bobby heard the news and ran over, having a brief confrontation with Ryan. When asked about knowing Doug, who was trampled to death in the riot, and Ryan didn't report it to the police, he said he only met him to buy drugs. The two young men fought and Eric and Jess had to run in to stop them. Just then, Yulia's father arrived, saying they were going to Florida immediately. Scuba now realized that the police wouldn't be able to help. They had to save themselves first. So that night, he and Jess went to McCarty's house, where the party was being held, to find a gun or something to protect themselves. As for Yulia, her father urged her to pack her things and leave as soon as possible. But the killer came and shot the guard first. He then waited for the opportunity to deal with Yulia's father. The girl was in her room, receiving a video call from Scuba. While they were talking, Julia was attacked. After stabbing her ear, the killer waved goodbye to Scuba and Jess on his phone. The two rushed to her house, and when they arrived, Yulia was being held at knife point. Scuba pulled out his gun to fire, but forgot to release the safety. So the killer started a wood saw on the table and threw the girl towards it. And Julia died with a large gash in her stomach. Everyone, including the police, the mayor, and the people who were supposed to be the killer's prey, sat down together and agreed on a plan. They would lure the killer out during the Thanksgiving parade. Jess and her family would be the bait. Kathleen hesitated, but eventually agreed because this was the only way to stop this madness. The big moment is coming and Mitch, who lost his wife, puts on a John Carver mask and heads outside. Jess is given a ring by McCarty for good luck, which saved his father's life during the Iraq War. The parade is taking place and many people are wearing John Carver masks, making it difficult for the police to identify the suspect. Mitch shows up and he just wants to protest with Thomas's family and not attack. The killer is clever when he disguises himself as a clown and cuts off the head of the mascot, that boy named Lionel, who accidentally hit Amanda at the beginning of the film. A series of accidents ensue, causing chaos. The killer also uses smoke bombs and successfully overpowers Jess's family, who are trying to get into the police car to leave. Kathleen wakes up to find herself on a table, with the killer nearby, wanting to turn her into a Thanksgiving turkey. Kathleen pretended to be unconscious and waited for him to leave. Then she immediately ran away. After hiding for a while, Kathleen ran upstairs, but while struggling to remove the door panels, she accidentally opened the refrigerator and blood flowed onto the floor. The killer also went upstairs and Kathleen was exposed because the floor was covered in bloody footprints. He used a pitchfork to attack but missed. It seemed that Kathleen had successfully escaped when she opened the door and ran outside. The killer was still the winner and she was put in the oven and completely cooked. After a while, he brought Kathleen to the table, completing the Thanksgiving meal. This time he decided to broadcast it live for many people to enjoy. The police quickly identified the location and ran there. A basement was found, but it was just a trick. The killer had more time to enjoy his fun. The kidnapped people gradually woke up, seeing Kathleen on the table, extremely scared. Meanwhile, the masked John Carver started to deal with his first prey. That was Evan, who took the opportunity to videotape the violence with the desire to be famous. Now he will get what he wanted. Explode the internet with a smashed head. The killer cuts off a piece of Kathleen's flesh and forces Thomas to eat it. While all this is going on, Jess remembers the ring McCarty gave her, uses it to cut the rope and passes it to Scuba. The two of them successfully escape to the outside, which is John Carver's house. Scuba stays behind to hold the killer back and is slashed in the arm by the killer. Jess runs through the woods, successfully losing the killer. She runs towards the center of town, sees Sheriff Eric lying unconscious in the middle of the road next to his car. Jess accidentally sees the killer going into a nearby warehouse. She takes Eric's gun and goes to find the killer. Jess can't believe her eyes when the person who just took off the John Carver mask is Bobby. At that moment, Eric wakes up and asks Jess to come outside so he can handle this. Gunshots are heard and the sheriff comes out and says he shot Bobby. But he still managed to escape. The incident was over and the injured were taken to the hospital for treatment. Jess wanted to rest for a while before returning to the police station to give a statement. Suddenly, she saw raspberries on Eric's shoes. similar to the ones on her body. Jess understood that the killer was Chief Eric. He saw her face and knew that he had been discovered and wished that Jess had been stuck on that fence for just a second longer. Eric locked the door to make it easier to deal with Jess, and he also revealed the whole reason for this. After Eric's wife left, Amanda was the one who healed his wounds. The two had an affair and Amanda was planning to divorce Mitch. Their promising future ended on that fateful night. At that time, Amanda was pregnant with Eric's child. With hatred growing day by day, the killer had meticulously planned to take revenge on each of them. Everyone who caused the riot, and Eric intended to blame all the blame on Bobby. So he kidnapped him in advance, put him in the trunk of the car and dressed him in a murder costume. But Eric was beaten by Bobby's resistance. Jess then revealed a secret that she had been live streaming using Bobby's evidence phone all this time. Eric tried to anesthetize her, but Bobby arrived in time and rescued her. The two ran away with the murderer chasing right behind. Bobby threw an object far away to distract him. Jess saw a gas tank and opened it to inflate a chicken-shaped balloon. She and Bobby got in the car and left. But Eric still had a way to stop them. Once again, Bobby drove the car away. But the murderer used the cable from the car to wrap tightly around a house pillar. Jess was in the trunk, saw the guns and came up with a plan. She put gunpowder in the gun, used the bracelet that was a relic of her late mother and shot it at the balloon. A huge explosion engulfed Eric, while Bobby and Jess managed to escape. The next morning everyone reunited, but the police reported that Eric's body was not found. They believed that with such a large explosion in such close proximity, everything would have been completely burned down. Jess still felt that Eric was one of the three masked men. She was still haunted, and before the movie ended, Jess had a dream that Eric came to her with his body on fire. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.